So if you're like many of us farmers, market farmers, gardeners, you at one point have probably struggled with pepper seed germination. Hot peppers, sweet peppers, banana peppers, all kinds of peppers usually have a learning curve when it comes to germinating pepper seeds. I struggled with it for years until I started using this one technique that helped me increase my pepper germination tremendously. And I'm gonna share that technique with you right after this. Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Lick Branch Farms. Today is Sunday, February the 9th. It's warm out here today. I got up this morning, it was in the 60s already, and we've had some unseasonably warm temperatures here this week. I seen 81 degrees one day. And I'm gonna give you an update on the seed we direct sowed last year, the last week, the radishes and the carrots, and give you an update on that. But yeah, we got an exciting video today. We're gonna start our pepper seeds, sweet peppers, hot peppers, all that good stuff. And you know, for years I struggled with pepper germination, where you know I could sow 338 flat of hot peppers only to get like 50 of them germinate. And you know, it was a learning curve. It took me a while to learn, you know, what peppers needed, how they germinated, and you know, just simple techniques that I watched other farmers do that seemed to help. And I put this technique together that I use, and this is just the way I do it here on my farm, and it seemed to work. I mean, it has been working past few years. It's not a foolproof method. You can, you know, overdo some things and fail, but if you just keep it simple and follow a few basic guidelines, you can be more successful at germinating pepper seeds. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I pulled the tarps off of the rows that we sowed out here in the main garden, and as you can see, the radishes have already germinated. They were up 3 days ago. I got something running through my garden. I think it's a rabbit. But yeah, you can see these. This has been 1 week today, and we've got pretty decent germination in this row already. And this row here isn't far behind it. Now, I haven't seen anything out in the carrot rows, and I didn't expect to, because normally carrots in the wintertime, they drag. They take 2-3 weeks to germinate. I've seen it take up to a month, but they will. And we got a lot of rain coming this week. We got 7 days of rain forecasted, 70% chance or better. So what we're probably going to do today is pull the tarps back over these beds, because they're good and saturated, and we're going to just leave the tarps on them this week while we get all this rain. Because what I don't want to do is wash the beds out. What I don't want to do is wash the seed out and, you know, not get germination at all. So here later on this afternoon, before it starts, we're going to pull the weed mats back over the top and nail them down. I mean, the weed mats do let water through, but it won't let it through all at one time. It kind of wicks through, if that makes sense. So it'll help keep from washing the beds loose. And yeah, we won't have to worry about that. All right, so we got curly kale, Swiss chard. Let's look at it. Beautiful. Yellow beets, red cabbage, some more yellow beets. That went through the real cold spell, and it burned it back some, but it's trying to come back, so I'm gonna leave it in there. Katarina cabbage and sugar snap peas. Now these guys are slated to go outside next week. Green onions, they are slated to go outside today. Betsy's gonna come down here in a little bit. She's gonna help me plant these onions. More cabbage, both sides, and more red beets. And we were in here yesterday doing a lot of up potting tomatoes, getting ready to put some tomatoes in here on grow slabs. And you ain't gonna believe it, guys. Look at these. These are tomatoes that we up potted a few videos back, and they already got blooms that's starting to open on. So we got to get these guys on the grow mats. The bloom over there. Cucumbers, and I don't think these guys are going to make it. I really don't, because I thought they were hydroponic, a hydroponic variety, but they're not. And they're not, I mean, I guess they're trying, but they're not like these guys here. These are a hydroponic cucumber, and you can see They're doing absolutely fabulous. This is Corinto. These are Excelsior picklers. Those are picklers. Oh, these are tomatoes. Don't mind the straws. We're using them for steaks. And these are Diva. I grew Diva in the dirt, but I've never grown it hydroponically, and it did really good in the dirt, but not doing well hydroponically, so we may scrap that one and start over. Cherry tomatoes, all these are Sakuras. Like I said, don't mind the straws. Geronimos and Inspired. And I've got some more Geronimo and Inspired right here. That's leftovers. If you remember right, when we first started talking about doing hydroponic tomatoes, we said we didn't need but 60 plants per row. We got plenty. We got enough to do 2 rows. We got enough to fill this house. 3 rows of red rounds and 2 rows of red cherries. All right, so in the greenhouse hydroponics, I've got arugula that is starting to bolt. You can see that. It's got to come out of here maybe today. I'm probably gonna get rid of 2 rows. Swiss chard, looking great. Sold a lot of that last week. All of this is our newest plant, no lettuce. There's 20 trays, mixed varieties, Tropicana, Muir, and new red fire. So that's going to be our biggest. This is going to get us into the spring market. That's what we're going to sell at market come Marchish. Red spinach, which is on its way out, it's already starting to bolt. I got some new seeds started up at the house. Green spinach, same thing, got some more started at the house. This is a small plant of green spinach. I tried a different variety of seed. So far it's doing pretty good. Kale, green curly, we've been cutting on it. Lots of those, looking great. This is the next round of lettuce that we're going to carry to market. Bok choy, beet greens, and this is a new planting of Swiss chard and bok choy, and that's the last of the mustard and turnip greens. All right guys, so here we have 4 trays of peppers, 2 of bell peppers and 2 of jalapeno peppers. Now I started these seeds back late January, and I started them typically the way anybody would start pepper seeds in soil. That's Pro Mix and vermiculite, and I put them on a heat mat just like I do everything else, and this is the result. This is the end result. Splotchy germination at best, and you can see the centers of them are all void, which means it tells me that the center got hotter than the rest, and it basically cooked the seed. Now I do regulate my temperature, but sometimes it's hard to get even heat across these mats. Now you can see these bags up here, and it kind of give it away for what we're fixing to talk about. You've all heard of, you know, paper towel method of germinating seeds, and that's actually what this is. But the twist of mine is that I lay mine on the germination mats, on the heat mats, and it seems to help a lot. But you can see the condensation built up in that bag, and I started these on 2.6. I'm gonna give you a shot of what we got going on in here. All right, so what we got is a really moist, wet environment that we put the bag over and lay it on the heat to germinate these seeds. And if you can see really close, the radical is just beginning to come out of that seed right there. The radical is actually the tap that's going to make the root for the plant, and you know, the fact that it's just now starting to come out means that we can transplant these into our soil, and this is going to help with the germination side of it. Since it's already sprouted, it will more than likely continue to grow as soon as we put it in the soil. And there's a little bit of a process to that, and we'll get to that whenever we get ready to get the tray set up. But yeah, so we're gonna get some trays ready out here to transplant at least 1 set of those seeds in there. And the good thing about this is you can kind of start them in stages and work with them, you know, as they start to sprout. They don't all sprout at the same time. What are you getting ready to do?
Wash this out.
Bessie's down there, she's gonna start sifting dirt here in a minute, help me put these pepper seeds in these trays. You see that arugula bolting?
I do.
So we're gonna have to get rid of them 2 trays. This one right here is probably still good, but we're gonna have to get rid of them 2. All right, so while Bessie getting the dirt ready over in this tray, I'm gonna pull the paper towel out of here and see how many that we can plant today. Good thing about this process is you don't have to use them all at once. You can plant whatever's ready, and then the ones that are not, put them back in there, wait a day or 2, and then plant the rest of them.
David's birthday tomorrow. You gonna work on your birthday?
I do every year.
Never quit working.
potatoes. This is a lot drier than we normally use, and there's a reason for that. I'll tell you about that here in a minute.
Clean too. You get much. Many sticks. Or what is that? Bark, yeah. What is the reason for it being drier?
Because we're gonna bottom water it.
So the seeds won't pop out the top.
When we lay the seeds inside of the cell, I'm gonna take the bottom tray, fill it with water, set that in it. It's gonna whip that water up and water it from the bottom instead of putting it in there and washing it all over and possibly getting it too deep where it won't fry.
Right.
Alright, so if you look at these seeds here, you can see right here where the point's starting to break through. That's where the radical's starting to come out of it. And what we're going to do is take one of these seeds, and we're going to lay it flat. Just like you see, just like this. Yeah, split, so it's going to flop around.
Those did overnight, didn't they?
No, about 3 days.
3 days. What was the ones you did last night?
Spinach.
No.
And lay them flat. And once we get all of them in there like this, I'll show you what we're going to do after that. Because we don't cover it with soil, we actually going to cover it with vermiculite. It's a lot lighter. It's easier for the seed to push through it. What you got going on with your nose?
Got something in my itchy. Neo tissue.
Two trays out of the way. Betsy got some onions to plant.
Betsy.
Hey, I built a road.
We got some onions.
You can plant onions. I built the road.
That's a lot of onions.
You got to get it done before it starts raining. And this may be time consuming and it may seem like it takes a little bit more effort, but trust me, when you get splotchy germination, you only get 20 or 30 plants out of a 128 cell tray, then you can see why this is worth it. And you can put these in here and get 128 plants right out. Alright guys, so we're kind of done with the first tray, and what I'm going to do now is set this thing up to bottom water, and you can see we got a seed in each one of these cells, and this is a 128. That's a 128 cell tray, and it's probably going to take 2 of those to do what we got on this paper towel. Yeah. Put some water in here, and then we'll start the bottom watering process, and it'll start wicking it up, and we may have to add something to it before we put it back on the germination mat. But rule of thumb is once it's saturated, don't put more water in that tray than it can absorb in like 30 minutes. You don't want to get root rot, you don't want to get any kind of fungus or any kind of disease started because you're trying to overwater it. So that soil, as dry as it is, it's immediately going to start wicking that water up in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to take vermiculite and we're going to go through and just lightly cover those seeds. We don't want to give them too much area to have to try and push through. We're just barely going to cover them because we've already started the germination process. So what we're doing now is just cutting off the air to the seed so it can finish up doing its thing. And this makes it to where, if you get to questioning if it's going to germinate or not, you can take something real fine and kind of go back and just kick the vermiculite away from it and just see, where the seed's at and how it's coming along. Alright, so that is the first pepper tray of the 2025 season. And I say the first, but we don't plant peppers inside. We don't plant peppers hydroponically. At least we haven't. All of our peppers are grown outdoors. Now, later on in the season, late summer, I probably will start some peppers to go in the hydroponic system, just so we can push our season into November, December of this coming year. That'll give us a little bit of a, you know, extension into the fall, winter season. If we've got peppers on the vine in the tunnels, which ours are heated, we can extend our season a little bit further for our CSA customers and for our market farm. Yeah, so I'm gonna get started on that second tray, and once we get that part done, once everything's wicked up and got water, is saturated, you know, we'll put them back on a germination mat, and I'll show you the final step of this process, and then I'll give you an update on how long it takes these guys to emerge, and you know, when we see green coming out of these trays, I'll give you guys an update. All right guys, so I'm gonna show you the final step of this process. We've got this tray that we just started in here. We put it back on the germination mat. Remember, pepper seeds are going to need bottom heat to germinate, but they don't necessarily need bottom heat to grow. So what we're going to do, we know we got a little bit of water in that tray. We're going to take a piece of, this is a little bit heavier plastic. This is greenhouse plastic. But we're going to put over the top of that, and basically we're going to create a humidity dome. That moisture in here is going to heat up, it's going to wick through that soil, and it's going to want to evaporate. And as it does, it's going to hit this plastic, and it's going to go back down into the soil. So essentially we're just going to keep running the water back and forth. Now it will eventually come out, so you have to keep a check on the water level, or you have to keep a check on the soil and make sure that it's damp enough, it's moist enough. But right now this tray is done. We're going to get started on the second one, get it finished up, put it in here also, and then as these other seeds start, the radicals start to come out of them, we'll do the same thing with these. By that time, hopefully these have sprouted and are starting to come up. We'll take the plastic off, we'll let them come up till they get the true leaves on them, and then they can go out on the grow rack. All right, so let's go through the steps. We took the seed, we put it on a warm, wet paper towel, we put it inside of a Ziploc bag, we set it on top of a heat source. That heat source could be a grow mat, it could be a deep freezer. I've germinated seeds on top of the refrigerator. I mean, you can set them on a vent in the house. Pepper seeds need a little bit more heat though, so you're definitely going to need something that's pretty warm. You can't do it like you do tomato seeds, where you can set it on a warm windowsill and they'll germinate. You can't do that with peppers. You're going to have to generate a little bit more heat. I'm going to say in the 80 to 90 degree range, 90 degree range. That's going to be optimal for pepper germination. Now, we took the germinated seed, the seed that already started germinated, the radical had actually come out of it, and we put it into a tray with soil, growing media, whatever you want to use. If you're going to do it in hydroponics, then you're going to transfer it into a oasis cube like this. We're not going to grow them hydroponical, we're going to grow them in the main garden, so we put them in soil, and what we did, lay them flat to get the radical the advantage of going straight down. We're going to take vermiculite over the top, real light. We're going to bottom water. We're not going to top water them, we're going to bottom water them until we see water wicking up through the soil, actually getting the soil damp. Then we're going to cover it with a piece of plastic, put it back on the heat source, and we're going to wait to see seeds, or we're going to wait to see starch coming up through that soil. We're going to wait to see a green stem coming up out of that soil. Then we're going to take that plastic off, and we're going to let the germination process finish.